start with a prayer, and I'll go over everything we're going to do today. On this day, 1955, Bill Gates was born. And on this day, Angelo Giuseppe Roncalli was elected Pope, and he became Pope John the 23rd. He used to call them the grandfather Pope, or Papa Nonna. Okay, in the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. This is a prayer by a student named Marianne Bigelow, and it's entitled "God is Joy Found in Life." An image of happiness when all is dull, a single ray of gleaming light that can reflect the color of all that's right. A gentle whisper that comforts a friend is his or her voice that does not speak. A simple smile that sits on the child's face, that is what God brings. A friend in the loneliness of times when all is colorless. He brings life. When all gone, his love will remain. We forget who we are, but God brings us back. Though our hearts be lost, God gives us His and brings us once again to find ourselves. Even though God cannot be seen, the smiles on our faces show that God is with us. My Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Okay, so I'll take up all kinds of questions after. So right now, what I want to get started on right away is the PowerPoint. Someone has joined us, so let's see if one of the two students has joined us. Okay, one of them, and the other one's still missing. Okay. So give me a second. Okay, so before I get into any of the questions, let me just go over the PowerPoint presentation. I'll take some questions in the PowerPoint presentation, and then I'll answer the questions, and then we'll start our presentations. Okay. Okay, so the principle of double effect. It's going to help us decide what is the right course of action or the wrong course of action. So go back to our lesson on object, intention, circumstances. Humans' acts are freely chosen because God has given us the gift of freedom. When we act deliberately, we are the author of our actions. If we act, then those actions can be morally evaluated as good or evil. The sources of human morality depends on three things. Number one, the object chosen, which is the action. Number two, the end in view or the intention. And number three, the circumstances of the action. This is from the Catholic Catechism, 1750. Object, intention, and circumstances. The object is the good which is chosen. Of course, all that God has made is good, thus even our sins could be seen as the choosing of a lesser good in the place of a greater good, what we call apparent goods versus really good or real good. The object of an action is external to the person choosing it. In other words, the object of the act can be in itself good or evil. In the Catechism 1751. The intention is in the person acting and helps us evaluate if an act is good or evil by determining the end towards which someone is aiming by acting. However, If an object deliberately chosen is bad, then no intention can make it a good act. On the same token, you may have an objectively good act, such as almsgiving, which is subverted by a bad intention, such as vanity. Vanity is self pride. Vanity in extreme forms is arrogance that can become narcissistic. The circumstances, including the consequences of the act, are secondary to object and intention. The circumstances may increase or diminish the goodness or evil of human acts. They cannot change the quality of the moral act to make it good or even. So circumstances just gives us more information about what led you to act. A particular kind of moral conflict arises when the performance of an action will produce both good and bad effects. On the basis of the good effect, it seems it is our duty to perform the action. But on the basis of the bad effect, it seems our duty not to perform it. And this is the dilemma we face when we looked at the two men in the hospital room. Was the patient near the window expressing something good through his imagination and the words that he chose? Or was he expressing something bad? He was lying, making it up. What to do? What do I do if, no matter what I do, good and bad will result? This is what we call a moral dilemma. You're on a road and all of a sudden there's a fork. You go left or right. What to do? The principle of double effect will help. Catholic morality has a principle to help determine the right course of action to take in tricky situations like these. If the act, intention, and circumstances are good, but good and bad things still result, we can use the principle of double effect to decide whether or not we should do the act. So this is the four principles of the principle of double effect. All four conditions must be met for us to conclude that it is the right action, the good action to take. Number one, the action must be good in itself or at least indifferent. You still can never perform an evil act that good may come of it. So the action must be good. If the action is bad, then you can't. It's not justified. It's still going to be an evil act. Number two, the agent, you, must have the right intention. The good effect is what is directly aimed for. The evil effect is foreseen but not intended. Number three, the good action must be the means of the good effect. The evil effect cannot be the means to the good effect. Number four, the good effect must be proportional to the evil effect. When there is an evil effect, there must be a proportionate or greater good effect. So those are the four principles. They all must be met for an action to be considered under Catholic moral teaching to be good and not bad. So number one, let's go through a little bit more detail. The act itself must be morally good or at least indifferent. The action is good in itself. The object itself has to be good. If it is not, then the action cannot be taken, no matter the good intent or the good effects. Some acts are always objectively wrong. Explanation. If you take an action that is objectively bad, then you are justifying the end result with the means you're choosing. So the end never justify the means according to Catholic moral decision-making teaching. So the object of the act, which is external to the person acting, must be good or at least indifferent. This is because no amount of good intention can make an evil act good. And because the effect of an act belongs to the circumstances, it cannot make a good act evil or an evil act good. In other words, the ends never justify the means. The object of the act cannot ever be evil, or it is sinful to be chosen. For example, deliberate and willful murder, as the deliberate killing of an innocent human person, will never be an acceptable action. Likewise, rape and adultery are never justified by intention or circumstances. We can call these intrinsic evils. And this uh, goes back to what St. Thomas Aquinas and Pope John Paul II said in Veritatis Splendor and in Benjamin Vitae, that there are some actions that are intrinsically evil. Taking someone else's life deliberately, willfully, is always very serious and therefore evil. Cartoon. The end justify the means. So it's a dog eat dog world. So I'll do whatever I have to and let others argue about whether it's right or wrong. So the end of whatever I want is all that's important. As long as it's good for me, that's all that's necessary. Number 2, the evil effect must not be intended. The intention of the act is for the morally good act. The intention for the good effect and the bad effects are merely tolerated and not wanted. Although the intention is not enough for a good act, the object in itself must be good. Permitting the bad effect is a toleration, not an endorsement. And that's key for us to understand the second condition. An action that has two effects, a good and a bad, you only tolerate the bad because the good is better and bigger and more important, but you don't endorse the evil that comes out of it. If it is foreseen that there is another course of action which would achieve the good effect without causing the bad effect, then the person will be obliged to choose that course of action. By choosing a good or indifferent act with a good and bad effect, the bad effect stands next to the good effect. It is not being deliberately chosen. So the bad effect is deliberately chosen. So I saw a cartoon here. Number 3, the good effect must proceed from the action, not from the evil effect, because if it doesn't, then you are doing evil to achieve good, and the condition requires that you do not do evil to achieve good. So no evil means to a good end. The bad effect, once again, is not intended but merely tolerated. In these cases, all other remedies must be attempted first. This is a last resort type of intervention. We cannot do evil in order to procure goodness. Number 3, again, it must be stated in Catholic theology, the ends can never justify the means. You cannot choose an evil act in order to achieve a good effect. Truly, God will always draw a good out of every evil, but woe to us if we are the author of the evil. The good effect and the bad effect must happen at the same time, or at least be caused by the action itself. In other words, the good effect cannot be a direct result of the bad effect. If that is the case, does not apply. So we've seen this before, I think. I'm having trouble seeing this right now. I'm going to ask you to read it. For some reason, I'm having a hard time with this. Whenever I need to do something serious, sorry, I can't read this. I go for a walk in the woods. There are always a million distractions out there. I don't believe in ethics anymore. As far as I'm concerned, the ends justify the means. Get what you can while the getting is good. That's what I say. What makes right. Sorry, can't read the part. It's a dog eat dog's world, so I'll do whatever I have to and let others argue about whether it's right or not. And then he gets pushed. Hey, why'd you do that? You were in my way. Now you are not. The ends justify the means. I didn't mean for something. You don't, you just use something, just me. Sorry, I had trouble reading today. The good effect must be sufficient. So this is number 4. My apologies. Sufficiently desirable to compensate for the allowing of the evil effect. So we mean by proportion. The good result outweighs the bad result. Proportionate reason. Due proportion between the good and bad effects. Usually the overall health and life of a person is proportionate reason to a loss of bodily function. There must be a very serious reason that the evil effect is tolerated. The So let's stop there. And I think we have everybody in class now. So give me a second and let me update the attendance. And I'll take some questions and then I'll give you some, maybe 5 minutes to get yourselves ready and then we'll start. So let me see, make sure we have everybody now. I just want to make sure. Okay, we got everybody here today, so let me just finish taking the attendance. So we don't get any phone calls home. Okay. So let's see what we have here. I'm not going to answer any of the questions on the CPT. I'll spend time later on that. Let me just get my display working again. Sorry about that. Okay. So first, I'll start over again. Kevin asked, are the charts individual or group assignment? Okay, the completed chart is an individual assignment. The individual case presentation is a group presentation. So you work together in groups that were pre-assigned yesterday. And as you present, everybody else will be learning from you and we'll have discussions and maybe some objections to the answers. And so everyone else will fill in the rest of the chart based on your presentation. So the charts have to be individually handed in, but you're going to get a lot of help from everybody in the class. Okay. So Nathan asked, can you write yes or no for each column? I'm going to ask you to write yes or no, but give an explanation. So for the first one would be action is good. What is good about the action? The evil effect, what is the evil effect? And then say it's not intended or it is intended. The good effect, say what is the good effect and does it come from the action or does it come from the bad effect? And what is more important, the good effect or the bad effect for the last one? So just try to answer within a point form short answer. You don't have to go into great detail, but at least you've worked through it a bit. You're welcome to type it in, or you can write it. At the end, I'll give you more time to put it together and then send it to me. Okay. So it's the next one. Ben asks, what are some examples of humility can we use for CPT? I'll talk later about that, Ben. Patrick, yes, you can type. Ask you type the chart. Yes, you can type the chart. Patrick, check your shared documents. Okay, so you guys are talking. So it's okay. Should we just directly read our chart? That's also necessary. Explanation. I don't want to make it too difficult for you. For Kevin, some of you are shy being on the internet and the Google Meet. If one of you want to do it, then I'm okay. I would have preferred that that you split it up and everybody present one of the answers, and that would give you a chance to participate. But again, I recognize some of you are shy. There's no one who was shyer than me in high school, so I could never imagine me learning or teaching this way when I was a high school student. I mean, I'm often surprised I even became a teacher because I was so shy. The due date for the chart will be the end of the period because I don't want you to get any homework tonight. So you'll have time to listen to everybody's answers and write them down. Again, all I want is a one sentence answer for each of them or 1 point answer. Okay. And yes, you do have to turn the whole chart into so we're helping each other out, but you're doing your individual work. But it's a collaborative effort. Everyone should get perfect on the assignment because we worked on it. David, welcome to our class. I've got you. I've changed the attendance. Thank you. No problems. Is he cutting out sometimes for the rest of you guys as well? Am I cutting out? I don't know how the internet's working here. Let me check my volume here. It's at 100%. And sorry, I guess it's we're having internet problems again. Sorry if I'm cutting out. Okay. Patrick, for the chart, there are 9 cases, so it'll be at 9. As long as you answer and fill each box and is correct after our discussions or presentations, then we'll be okay. Coach Carter, leave it later. Okay, Patrick, you're getting ahead of us. Okay. Okay, good. So, give you a couple minutes to get yourself together. So take a little break as you prepare, and we're going to start with. Let me just get my sheets here. So group number 1 will be Andrew, Evelina, Michelle, and Celine. Okay. So a couple minutes. So right now it's 12:58. We'll start at 1 o'clock. And what I'd ask you to do is one or more of you, if you want only one person to do it, it's up to you, unmic and tell us what the answers are. And then anyone has any questions, rather than everybody talk at the same time, I'll ask that you, if you object to anything, just write down as a chat. And that way people won't get intimidated when all of a sudden we have 15 people shouting out answers. Okay. Okay, so if we can have our first group present, and who's going to be a spokesperson or spokespersons. If you could unmic and present us the answers. Please start with reading the case and then go through the four conditions.
Okay,
And
sure. So for our group, we had number one, which was woman stabs and kills a rapist who was threatening her. So is this action good or morally indifferent? We said that she took a knife and just simply pointed it at a person, and this is morally indifferent because pointing a knife at someone will not actually kill them. You have to act on it. So the action is morally indifferent. And just like firing a rifle, the act of stabbing with a knife is not necessarily morally evil in itself. It's based on the circumstances you're in.
okay, if I could stop there, it's a good answer, more indifferent, but it's actually a good action because St. Thomas Aquinas' first principle is self-preservation, life. So to
Yeah.
preserve your life is a good thing. So I just
Okay.
wanted to slight correction right here. It's a good action because she was trying to save her health or her life. So good answer so far.
Okay, so we can move on to the intention then. So the woman did not intend for the man to die, but she knew it was a consequence of her action. It was a possible consequence. So in the situation, the woman did get attacked, but it was not her intention to kill the man, but to defend herself. So in this situation, she needed to escape the dangerous situation created by the man who was attacking her and attempting to rape her. And the woman used the knife as a form of protection. So that was probably the only form of protection she could find in her purse. So she didn't intend to kill the man, but to protect herself.
Excellent answer. And I might also add, and I'll contribute as well, that she did not intend to kill him, but to protect herself. And he could have possibly even gotten simply injured. The fact that he died is not what was in her mind. If she had to use a knife and had to actually puncture him, it's possible that he simply would have been injured or hurt and ran away. So excellent answer. Okay, and the third condition.
The third condition, good effect must proceed from the action, not from the evil effect. Do not do evil to achieve good. The good effect must come from the action, not from the evil effect. So in this case, the good effect was that she ended up staying alive and she didn't get raped. And she acted in action. She was acting out of self-defense. She was trying to protect herself. And this act of self-defense resulted in her not getting raped. So she acted in action and she didn't act on an evil effect. She was just trying to protect herself.
Okay, excellent answer. Okay, and I won't add any more because it was excellent. Everything was there. And number four.
So the good effect must be sufficiently desirable to compensate for the allowing of the evil effect, meaning that the good effect must have more like value than the bad effect. So ultimately, the woman's action is justified because she didn't intend for the rapist to die. Her actions just simply caused it. She's innocent and does not deserve to suffer just because somebody wanted to rape her. And human life is still precious, which is why the story is unfortunate. But acting to protect yourself is of the utmost importance. So it still overweighs the bad effect that was resulted. And the rapist's life does not deserve to be treated more importantly than the woman's life. So by saying that, we can say that her actions are justified and not endorsed.
That's excellent. And now for the group, if all four conditions are met, then is this action good or bad?
Good, because it meets all four conditions.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. So group number one is did a great job. Anyone from the class have any questions? Okay, anyone want to answer Anas, have you got the answer now for your question based on the group's presentation? Okay, great. So I don't have to answer because they did a great job. Okay, group number one, thank you very much. You did a great job. So now we move on to group number two, and I'll just call the names out. This is going to be Anas, Fiona, and Michelle Kim, and Amy. So if
Yeah.
anyone
So
wants to start with reading the story.
ours was President Truman decides to drop the atom bomb on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which will result in the deaths of 700,000 civilians or non-combatants in order to demoralize the Japanese army and thus force them to surrender. And I said that this action was not good, as this planning from President Truman is killing the lives of many innocent people by dropping the atomic bomb. And although this is an action to force the Japanese army to surrender, many of innocent lives will be getting killed.
Okay, excellent. And killing someone intentionally, especially innocent people, men, women, and children, is always going to be an intrinsically evil action. Between Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there was about 260,000 people dead, and people died much later because of the effects of the radiation. So far, excellent, good answer. Condition number two.
So for the evil effect must not be intended, so that they intentionally use the evil effect, which is dropping the atom bombs on the city to force Japan to surrender. So about 700,000 innocent citizens or non-combatants are killed because they intended the evil effect. If they haven't intentionally used the evil effect but use good action to force them to surrender, lots of people could leave.
Okay, excellent answer. So they wanted these people dead to force them to surrender. So their intention was for the death of these innocent people. Excellent. Mission number three now.
And number three is good effect must proceed from action, not from evil effect. Like American dropping the atom bomb on the city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki doesn't have a good effect. Although they dropped the bomb in order to demoralize the Japanese army and thus force them to surrender. Actually, they did it. At the same time, the Second War indeed ended. But because of this bomb, there are dies of 700,000 citizens or non-combatants. So this is not a good effect.
That's excellent. So the killing of 700,000 people was the means to the surrender. The surrender comes from the death of 700,000 people. So these people were sacrificed so that there could be peace. Excellent. And then the last one.
Okay, so the fourth one was good effect must be sufficiently desirable to compensate for the allowing of the evil effect. So how I understand this is that there must be a good intention or a like it must be desired that good effect will be the outcome of an evil act or an evil effect. So there was no good effect in dropping the bomb, but the good effect or what the intention was meant was for Truman to get back at the Japanese army for attacking Pearl Harbor to begin with. But the war had already ended, so there was no need for it. So I think out of anger and hate, he decided to just drop it anyways and killed 700,000 innocent Japanese citizens.
Okay, that's excellent. So you have to waste 700,000 innocent lives with surrender and the end of the war. And it's hard to make that weighing. Altogether, some from the group, this is going to be a justified action or unjustified action?
Unjustified.
Unjustified.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So
There's no justifying killing innocent people out of anger, right?
at the end of the chart, after the 4 boxes, you might want to write, I didn't add a box, but you can write down your conclusion, justified or not justified. Okay, everyone, you include that in your chart, just to summarize it. Okay, we're going to group number 3. Group number 2, excellent presentation. Thank you very much.
So
I hope
should we
you
be filling in our own charts?
Yeah, everyone fills out their own charts, but you're getting the help of everybody else.
Right, okay.
Okay. Group number 3 is Azine and Jade. And then we go to Nathan Chan and Louisa. So these are our group number 3. Am I going too fast? Should I give you some time to complete the chart, or are we okay?
We're good.
Okay. So group number 3, please, and read the story first, and then go through the process.
Hi. So we're not sure if Louisa's here because she has the first part.
Who are you asking for?
Louisa.
Louisa?
Yeah.
Louisa, would you like to read the case for us?
Sorry. So I start to present now. So that, give me a second.
Sure, no problem. Take your time.
Okay.
It's number 3.
Yes. So, no, this one. Yes. Oh, so that for the third question about the double effect, so it is talk about a SWAT. A SWAT shoots a oxygen taker holding a young woman. So it's talk about a member of a SWAT team shoots the oxygen taker who held his grip a young woman holding a gun over her head. The oxygen taker dies in the process. So that in my point, I think the SWAT is doing the action is indifferent. It's a more indifferent. So because he has an arm, he has an aim to save a woman from the oxygen taker. So we need to focus on his motive to saving a woman.
Okay. Louisa, be careful. That's the intention. The motive is the second one.
Okay.
Is you said it was indifferent. I would change that to good, because what
Yes.
the SWAT team was doing was who were they trying to protect, Louisa?
He tried to protect the young woman.
Yes. So the young woman's life is very, very important, and therefore, so what they did was good, trying to preserve her life. And we talked about preservation of life is the most important precept.
Yes.
So the action
is good.
Exactly.
Yes, because he wants to save a woman. Although he caused the death of oxygen taker, so he have a goal to save a woman is the best goal for him.
So that's a good action. Okay, well done. Excellent. Okay, next one. condition number 2 now? Okay, who's doing condition number 2?
I think it's Nathan. Oh,
Not to worry, it's the first time we've done this all semester.
I think if Nathan can, if his mic doesn't work, I can say his part for him. If it works.
The microphone works. We can hear you.
Oh, I mean Nathan, because the second part is Nathan part, but he says his mic doesn't work for some reason.
Okay, Nathan?
He typed in the chat. You can see it in the chat.
Okay, let me go check that second. So, Nathan.
So is it okay if I do the part for him?
Sure, no problem.
So the evil effect must not be intended. So the evil effect was not intended in this case to the hostage because the SWAT attempted to save the hostage from being killed. However, the evil effect is intended to the person holding the woman hostage. The hostage taker was killed. Everyone in that person's family would be filled with remorse. Therefore, the evil effect is intended to one person.
Okay, in this case, all we have to think of is the intention of the SWAT shooter. So he wanted to save the girl's life. Now, he can do it by injuring the hostage taker or injuring him to the point where he dies of his injuries. But that's not what he wanted to do. He didn't want to kill the hostage taker. He wanted to separate his hand and his gun from the head of the hostage. Okay, so your answer is correct. So it is the death of the hostage taker was not intended. What was intended was to save the life of the hostage. Okay, condition number 3 now.
Okay, so the third one is that he actually apparently used evil action to save the woman by killing the hostage taker, but he eventually did the right thing. He used the evil effect of killing as means to achieve the good effect of saving the woman's life as ends. Yeah, so this is it, I think.
Okay, just be careful that you don't make a relationship between the evil effect and the evil action. The action was good, trying to save the life. The hostage taker happened to die, but that's not what he was trying to do. It was separating the hand and the gun from the hostage's head. So in this case, the action comes from the good effect comes from the action, not from the evil effect, from the hostage taker dying. Okay, so just be careful this one here.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, and next we go to condition number 4.
Okay, so for the condition number 4, its good effect must be sufficiently desirable to compensate for the allowing of the evil effect. And I think the good effect here is sufficient enough. And it indeed outweighs the evil effect. So the good effect here is saving the young woman's life, and the bad effect here is harming the hostage taker and potentially killing the person. The action of SWAT shooting the hostage taker saves an innocent human being's life, whereas if the SWAT let the criminal take the lead, the hostage taker will eventually be lawfully punished. However, an innocent soul could have been harmed and wasted for no reason.
Yeah, excellent answer. If you have to weigh the life of the hostage with the life of the hostage taker, the life of the hostage is more important. And if the hostage taker simply got injured, that would have been okay. If he happens to die, well, that's too bad for him. He shouldn't have been like holding a person hostage. Okay, so they tried their best to detach the situation, but if he happens to die, that's not what they wanted him to die. What they wanted to happen was that the hostage be free and safe. So altogether, someone can conclude, is this a justified or unjustified action?
We guess it's justified.
Yeah, it's justified because it meets all 4 conditions of the principle of double effect. Okay, excellent. Well done, guys. And then we go back to group number 4 now. And so we have Ben Wong, and then we have David, and we have Nathan Chang, and then we have Zilan. Now again, if you are too shy, you can have somebody speak for you. So let's have group number 4. Please read the story first and then give us our 4 conditions. Okay, anyone from group 4?
I'm in group 4, but I'm doing condition 4, so I'm just gonna wait for stuff.
Okay, thank you. It's okay. We'll wait for you guys to get yourself organized. Like I said, it's the first time I've done this all quadmester, and I'm learning to see how this works and how I can use this in the future and for other classes as well.
Where's David? David here?
Okay, Nathan, would you like to start us off by reading the case and then maybe have just one spokesperson?
Sure. So, in order to save 100 lives, a country decides to surrender a little child to the daughter of the little child is the daughter of the former prime minister to the enemy of the country, and so basically the enemy of the country will kill the child in revenge for the bad policies of the former prime minister.
Okay, thank you. If you've studied Greek mythology, this is similar to the story of Theseus. Condition number 1. Is this a good action or bad action?
That would be David.
Okay, could someone help him out? And sometimes it's hard to get on the internet. Nathan, do you want to help him out?
Really try to contact him right now.
Nathan, it's okay if you want to answer for him. It'll be okay. Like I said, I was very, very shy, and not everybody wants to be on the internet and communicate with the class. It's okay. Could someone else answer for him?
I can try to answer for him.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
He's coming in on the phone.
Oh, is
Yeah.
he coming on?
Oh yeah, I'm just telling him to move to mobile because that has a microphone.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Just,
He might have some connection problems.
sir, can you read chat? I think somebody's asking for repeat. Oh, okay.
Azine asked a question for number 3. The good effect comes from the good actions. This is for question number 3. Okay, Dave's have some problem with connectivity, so could someone help him and answer the question for him and for your group?
Ben?
Sure. Sure. I think that the action is morally indifferent due to the fact that if they did not give up the little child, that 100 of their own lives would also be sacrificed. So it was give or take. It was either to give the one child or sacrifice 100 lives, and I assume they went for the lower risk option here and just surrendered the child because the enemy country wanted it.
Okay, that's a good answer. Unfortunately, we call this a consequentialist answer. You're valuing one life over 100. You're saying that to save 100, you want to sacrifice, and you know this one life is going to get killed. Now, what would happen if that was you? So this is actually not a good action. It is a bad or evil action because you know that giving up this one child is going to end in that child's death. So you are essentially sentencing this child to death. You know, and whatever reason, intention, we'll talk about next. But this is a morally evil act. It's extrinsically evil because you are essentially having somebody else kill her. Okay, so be careful this one here. The action is the giving up of a girl to be killed. So whether the other country kills her or you kill her by sending her there, it's the same thing. Okay, so you guys might want to rethink this section here. Okay, second condition. If you need to reevaluate now. Is the evil effect intended or not intended? The evil effect here is the death of the child.
I would say that the evil effect is intended due to the fact that they know that this child would be sacrificed, and in order for them to save the 100 lives, they're willing to surrender this child, even though they possibly know what might happen to her.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so the first one is it's an evil action, and the second one, you're intending, you want this child to die. Okay, condition number 3.
Sir, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
So for number 3, is the good effect over the evil effect? Because for this scenario, because what I wrote is that the original intention is to save 100 lives in the country, and the evil action is to kill a child in order to surrender. But overall, the good effect is to protect the majority. So this is what we call recognizing the more important truth of the overall situation and take care of the majority. But however, doing evil to achieve goodness is not acceptable. But sometimes we would have to balance the price between the goodness and the evil. But at the end of the day, the goodness should always should always over evil. So I think it should be a good effect to save the majority in this country.
You have good parts of the answer, and there's a little bit of problem there. This condition says that the good effect, you're right, is saving 100 people. But the good effect must not come from handing over the girl to be killed. So it's not coming from the action, it's coming from the evil effect. The death of the girl, the death of the child, results in the good effect. So the bad effect is the child dies. The good effect is the 100 live. The 100 live only because the one dies. So therefore, this does not meet condition number 3, because then you are doing evil to achieve good, and you can't do that. Okay, so in this case, the good effect of saving the people's lives comes from the death of the girl. You have to satisfy their other country's desire for blood. And again, if it was you the one being sacrificed, you wouldn't like it. Or if it was your sister, and this brings us to a famous series on recent series and movies, The Hunger Games. And it's exactly the same idea that The Hunger Games is based on, that each district would sacrifice 2 people to play in the Hunger Games, with only one person surviving the Hunger Games, and then everybody else can live in peace. Okay, so I hope that helps. And condition number 4 now.
Okay, so I guess my answer would be would roughly be the same as everybody else is saying, that it would be was it 1 to 100. However, the intent is that they knew that the child will be killed as a result of the handing over of the child, because as said in the story, they said, they promised they would kill the child, right?
Yes.
So is it really desirable to for the allowing of this effect or this action? No, because there's still possibility of like diplomacy. You must find any other way possible.
And the last part is very crucial, and that sort of solves the dilemma you face. And can you sacrifice one life to save 100? You have to find other ways of making peace between the 2 countries other than killing an innocent person. So in this case, in this case, every life is important, and especially if that one person is being sacrificed is your life or you're related to that person. Again, that's the whole point of the Hunger Games. Eventually, the people in the Hunger Games trilogy decide to fight back for freedom and independence so nobody else has to be sacrificed again. Okay, and altogether then, someone conclude this section here. Is the action justified or not justified?
Not justified.
Okay, excellent. Okay, everyone. So it might take a little bit of rewriting the section. So please let's take a moment to fix up your answers. The only way you discover what this means is by trying them. This is what we're doing. Okay, while you're doing that, let me identify group number 5. Number 5 consists of Ben, Jane, and Elia, and Nolan, and Simon.
Okay, so number 5 is a doctor performs an abortion in order to protect the mother's physical and psychological health because she's very small in stature and emotionally unready to be a mother. And so the action is immoral because it is taking the life of a human being through abortion.
Okay, and let's just stop there just to make sure people understand this, that abortion, for whatever reasons, they're going to be killing a child. The word abort means to stop. The only way you can stop a pregnancy is to have an abortion and kill the child. Okay? So this, for us, especially in the Catholic school, this is morally bad or evil action. Okay, condition number 2.
So the evil effect is intended because the doctor's intent is to
Okay, Nolan, you have to increase your microphone or get close to it.
Oh, sorry. So the
No
evil
problem.
effect is intended because the doctor's intent is to take the life of a human being with the use of an abortion in order to protect the mother.
Okay, and that's excellent. So here, the death of the child is intended. Now we'll spend some time later discussing whether or not people consider that to be a child or simply a fetus, but that's for another time. Condition number 3.
The action is evil, meaning that a good outcome is trying to be reached through evil means.
Okay, so the health and comfort of the mother is achieved through the death of the child. So the good effect comes from the evil effect. And then lastly,
based on the scenario above, we reckon that the action does not compromise for the evil act, as taking a human life is not equivalent to protect the emotion state of someone.
excellent. Okay, and so to conclude this case, someone can say whether it's justified or not justified.
It's not justified.
Okay, thank you. And again, we're doing this to understand the Catholic position on abortion, and we use the principle of double effect. Okay, go to number 6. And could we just when that pop up here? Number 6 is Mason and James and Oliver.
So our story was that a woman is raped. She does not want to have the child that was conceived in rape. She has an abortion to preserve her emotional health. So the action in this case is the woman getting an abortion, and this action is not good or morally indifferent. This action is bad because when you have an abortion, you're preventing a person from being born. You're basically destroying a potential life and indirectly killing it. The life that is ended during an abortion is innocent and did not deserve to die.
Okay, and this is a very difficult and sensitive situation because then the woman would have to almost relive the rape for 9 months. We'll discuss this later on next week sometime when we look at abortion. Only thing I'll draw your attention is something that Pam Stansel said in her video, that her biological father raped her biological mother. Her father was a rapist, and the mother decided to keep the child and give it up for adoption. So that's all I'll say for now, just to refer you back to what Pam Stansel said in her video, and then we'll pick it up again next week. Okay, condition number 2.
Wait, sorry. So the action was immoral?
It's still killing a child. We'll talk about the sensitivity of a rape versus simply comfort in living in scenario number 5. But in scenario number 6, the action is still an abortion. The reasons and circumstances for are different, but the action itself is still morally evil. Condition number 2, the intention. Anyone from this group had condition number 2?
I'll say the intention is evil because it's still ending the child's life, but it has a good effect for it.
Yeah, so the evil effect intended, the death of the child, is that intended or not intended?
It's intended.
Intended. This is what it desires, what they wanted. Okay. Condition number 3.
The woman's doing evil, the evil action, which is ending the child's life, to achieve good, which is a no.
Okay, good. So the good effect comes from the evil effect, not from the action. Okay, good. And then last one.
The good effect in this case is that the mother will presumably preserve her emotional health, while the evil effect is that the abortion ends an innocent life. So the good effect in this case is not sufficiently desirable to compensate for the allowing of the evil effect. This is because we are all created in the image and likeness of God, and to preserve your emotional health at the cost of ending another's life is not worth it. It is also more likely that even after the abortion, the trauma will still remain, and the preservation of emotional health does not compensate for the results of an abortion.
That's an excellent answer. Thank you, James. Okay, and therefore, to conclude, is this a justified or unjustified action according to the principle of double effect?
Oh, it's unjustified. Yeah, it's unjustified.
Unjustified. Okay, good. Group number 7. Let's pop this up here. 7 is Kevin and Kylie and Patrick. So these are our groups of 3 now. Case group number 7.
All right. So the scenario here is a woman undergoes chemotherapy in order to treat her cancer, and she's told that it will very likely have adverse effects on her baby, and the baby dies after a week of chemotherapy. So the action here in this case, without context, is the action here is the woman undergoing chemotherapy. And the action here is good because, as we discussed earlier, it's good to try to protect your health. And for 2, is the evil effect intended? I think the evil effect wasn't intended because the woman didn't explicitly want the baby to die, and I feel like she might have She might have felt like she was choosing between them both dying and only the baby dying, so she believed that she was choosing the best outcome for them both.
Okay, excellent, Patrick. So it's a good action, and the evil or bad effect was not intended. It was preserving her life by undergoing the chemotherapy. Excellent. And we go to condition number 3.
So in condition number 3, the good effect must proceed from the action, not from evil effect. So don't do evil to achieve good. So in our case, both the good effect and evil effect come from the action. The good effect is the life of the woman, and the bad effect is the death of the child. So the woman takes chemotherapy to ensure she can live and her baby can be born. Although it results in the death of her baby, we know that her actions are good and she isn't intended to do that.
Excellent answer. Now, it is sometimes possible to deliver the child earlier and then go through chemotherapy. In this case, it seems like the chemotherapy couldn't wait. But it is possible to deliver earlier if possible. And that way the life of the child will be preserved as much as the life of the mother. But in this case, it wasn't possible. So excellent answer. And in condition number 4?
So sorry, can you explain number 3 again? I don't get it.
Okay, no problem, Michelle. The condition is that the good effect must proceed from the action. So the good effect is that she deals with her cancer, that the chemotherapy kills the cancerous cells, and then she recovers her health and is able to live. If she doesn't have the chemotherapy, it's a very good possibility she will suffer a lot and die. So the chemotherapy is necessary. But as a result of the chemotherapy, because she's pregnant, the baby will suffer. And the good effect of her life being saved and her health being restored comes from the chemotherapy. It does not come from the death of the child. So she's not sacrificing the child so that she could live. She's undergoing chemotherapy so she could live. Okay? She's not doing bad to get good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the death of the child was not intended. And that's why I said it's sometimes possible for her to undergo chemotherapy after delivering the child. So if there's a danger that the child will die, and if it's possible to deliver the child, especially at anywhere from 18 weeks to 24 weeks of pregnancy, you can deliver it. It might struggle a bit in a neonatal unit, but the baby will be alive. So this looks like that the child in its development as a fetus was too small to be viable or to live outside of the womb. Okay, and condition number 4.
So for the 4th condition, I said the good effect is the life of the woman. So her life is not something less than the life of the baby. So if it were, the woman would not have undergone chemotherapy. But although the woman lost the baby, it's more tolerable than to lose both mother and child from the cancer.
Okay, excellent. Okay. The hardest part is weighing both of those things. The 4th condition is often very difficult, but your answer was excellent. All together now for this group here, is it justified or not justified?
It's justified.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we go to number 8 now. So let's see, identify 8. 8 we have David and Lori and Ryan.
So, can I present?
Yes.
So the situation is a person throws steak knife at a psychiatric patient, threatening family with an axe. So the action is good. Throwing a knife is not inherently evil or good. If I throw a knife at a wall, I'm just throwing a knife. It's not evil in itself. Protecting the life of a family is good. Therefore, the action is overall good.
Okay, Ryan, could you read the case number 8 on the other sheet? Do you have it in front of you? So we have complete explanation of what was happening in the situation?
No, I don't have the other sheet. I just have.
You should have it. It was in your package.
Yeah, David has it. He can read it.
Okay, David, go ahead, David. Okay, good. Okay, and thank you, Ryan. Thank you, David. Okay, condition number 2.
The evil effect was not intended. The evil effect is the patient getting hit with an axe. The intent of the person is to protect or save the family from harm. Although it is likely that the patient will suffer harm or die from the action, the intent is to stop the patient from harming the family and to protect the family.
Okay, excellent. So it's a good action because self-preservation or preservation of the life of your family members are important. You didn't intend to kill unless you had great aim and that's what you're aiming for. But most times if you throw a knife at someone, you just want to injure them or scare them. You just happen to get a bullseye here. Condition number 3. Yeah, excellent. Okay, excellent answer. And then condition number 4.
The good effect does outweigh the bad effect. Assuming the family is 2 or more people and assuming that the worst happens and the patient dies, the effect will still save more people than it will kill. And if it does not kill the patient, saving the lives of multiple people is more of a good effect from the action than the evil effect of harming one person.
Okay, excellent. Now, please remember that you did not intend to kill the patient. You intended to protect your family. Okay. Altogether, summarize this. Anyone from group number 8? Is this justified or not justified? Correct. Okay. And our last group. Now, the reason why I asked Ryan, and thank you, David, for reading the case number 8 is because it's very similar to case number 9 with one very important, crucial difference. So we'll talk about that in a second. So number 9, we have Edison, and we have Mark, and we have Say.
All right, so for our case, it said that the person shoots the sleeping psychiatric patient who has an axe in his hand. If the action is good or morally indifferent, our group says that this action is intrinsically evil and is not good because he is committing murder. And since murder is an intrinsic evil, it's not good.
Okay, could you, Edison, please read the case number 9 so we have a better picture of what was happening and how it differs from number 8.
All right, let me get it. So case number 9 is you hear on the radio that a patient escaped from the local psychiatric institution. He was last seen with an axe in his hand. You decide to gather up the family and send them home in your new Ford Windstar. Meanwhile, you decide to go look for him yourself. You find him in the woods, sleeping under a tree. You take your .44 and shoot him in the head before he can hurt anyone else with the axe.
Okay, good. It's now we understand more of the situation. And your answer was that this is a morally evil actions, killing someone.
Yes.
Okay, good. And then condition number 2?
So the evil effect, which is to kill, that the psychiatric patient dies, it was intended as the person sought out for the psychiatric patient. He intended to kill him.
Okay, excellent. Now, I might ask one thing. How do you know this is the person that was announced on the radio? It could be somebody just sleeping out in the woods. Okay, but excellent answer. Number 3, condition number 3.
All right, for the condition number 3, the good effect hasn't proceeded from the evil action. The person shot the psychiatric patient to death which was an evil action. The person committed an evil action, homicide, to lessen the fate of an ex in the psychiatric patient's hands. So it's unjustified and evil action.
Another explanation. And condition number 4?
For number 4, the first precept of self-preservation based on Aquinas' idea is the great philosopher is the lie. So killing the person is an evil action that contradicts Aquinas' idea, but effect is not sufficiently desirable to compensate for the allowing of the evil effect in this case. So it's overall unjustified.
And altogether, then, for case number 9?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it justified or not justified?
It was unjustified because evil action is never justified to kill innocent people.
Okay, excellent. Thank you all of you for doing a great presentation, and I've learned something about using the internet and doing group presentations. So thank you very much. What I'd like you to do, if you can't finish it by today because you're busy reworking it or typing it up, whatever, hand it anytime by tomorrow, even Friday, so you have some extra time. Okay. Please do send me the chart. Make sure all the answers have a brief 1-point explanation of your choice of your answers. And if you can, at the end, squeeze in justified or not justified. Okay, I'm going to open up right now before we do the Coach Carter thing. I'd like to spend some time on the CPT sourcing because we've been talking about this for a while. So I'm going to present something I sent out to you. I'm just going to open it up on my screen here and then present it. I just want to go over it with you. How we're going to source things from for the CPT. Okay, I think we're okay now. So you should have received this. I sent you today. These 2 sheets I sent you 3 weeks ago about how to do proper footnotes or endnotes and how to do bibliography. So let me start backwards. The bibliography, only the sources you use should be included in your bibliography. And they should be, if there's an author, last name first. So alphabetical order, last name first. These are your footnotes or endnotes. Rather than use this triangular bracket, just use the parentheses or the round brackets. The number should appear in your essay where it's found, and then if you use the footnote, which means the foot of the page, then you'd have a number corresponding. Please don't start a new numbering of sources for every page, but continue. So if you have 4 sources on page 1, then the next source on page 2 should be number 5. It should be consecutively continue. Don't start new ones, okay? And then what I've done here is I've gone through different kinds of sources. And for the textbook, if you've taken anything from the homework assignments from the textbook, then you can either, if you use the hard copy, the first number 1 here is the textbook, and it's by the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops. And for some reason, other than the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops, we don't have a publishing company. Although I spoke to colleagues and said that it's the bishops who published it. And it does not say anywhere in the textbook, unless I missed it, where it's published, like Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and it doesn't say what year it was published. So that's all I have. So if you use a textbook, it's the first one. If you use the internet, and I gave you a digital copy of the textbook, then you can source it this way. Okay. Now, you have to, if you're going to use a textbook, either the hard book or the internet, you're still going to have to refer to the page or the pages that you used, okay? Now, second type of source, I'll go through them all, and if you have any questions, we can discuss it. And if you use a specific article or a handout which is in your package. So for example, the first one we looked at is Socrates' Philosophical Life. Okay, there. So the article is found on page 67 to 71. So if you refer to, for example, a definition of a virtue that Socrates talks about, it's probably going to be on page 71. So in your sourcing, if you define, say, a virtue of justice to give what is others their due, then it would be Socrates' Philosophical Life, page 71. Now, this is the internet location that's found in the article. So if it does give you a source of where you got it from, or where I photocopied it, and it tells you where this article is from, you should include it. So I've included it there. And then if it comes from my package becomes like a textbook then. So rather than say package, you simply refer Mr. Kara, HRT 4M1, grade 12, religion in search of the good, and the year that I put together is 2020. So this helps you properly source anything you got from the textbook. The package. So this is, number one is from the textbook, number two is from, so this will be for the package. So if you use Emmanuel Levinas, you use this one where you get it from. And then of course, indicate what page. If it's a handout, again from the package only, like Socrates here, I have a package that includes natural moral law. Again, it's page 23 to 33, and then I don't have a source of where I got that, so you just put my package here again, okay? If it's a handout like Janet Smith's Natural Law in Veritatis Splendor, then again, you would use my package here as my textbook. Now, if I give you another handout, sorry, this part here, I made a mistake here, sorry. This is the beauty of having this, okay. So if you use Choose Life, which is a summary of the Encyclical Evangelii Vitae, and this is a document that's produced by the Catholic Organization for Life and Family, or also known as COLF. And it's an article that was published in Ottawa. And this is the organization that published it. And then the year was 1995. And then you found it in, there should be a comma, in my package, which is my textbook. Okay. So you have to include that. And again, if you're using a specific page, if there is a page, you include it. And if there isn't a page, then don't worry about it. Number 6 is Martin Luther King Jr., letter from Birmingham jail. So this is the internet location. Someone had emailed me, and this one actually opens. And then let's see if I can get here. I'm missing something here as well. And if you only want to refer to as the internet, then that's fine. Otherwise, if you use the hard copy, then you attach this as found in my package. The beauty of having a computer, unlike me in my days, is you can copy paste like I did here. When I did essays first time in high school and university, I had to type this all up on a Brother typewriter. Here I just copy and paste, okay? And then lastly, if you're gonna use a PowerPoint presentation, then put principle of double effect. There should be a comma here. Again, I'm not picky about spelling and grammar. And sorry, I'm being picky now, but getting rid of that part. And then you say, Mr. Kara, PowerPoint presentation, October 28, 2020. So you're going to have to go back to your emails that I invite you to the Googles, and when I sent you PowerPoint presentations, and find out what day it is. I'm not going to be picky. Depends on when you opened it up. Okay, so if you use anything in a PowerPoint presentation, so you want to quote, then just put Mr. Kara PowerPoint presentation, October 28th, and this is the title of the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing for now and see if there's any questions. And I'm going to try, and I think I'm okay now. All right. Okay, so now, are there any questions about the sourcing? I'm sorry I made some mistakes there. So this will help you. Now, one more thing. If you want to repeat, if you have two consecutive sources, this is from Martin Luther King Jr., you don't have to write it all down. You do what's called IBID. I'm sure they taught you this. Okay, this means same as above. If you have a quotation from Martin Luther King Jr. and it says number 15, and then quotation number 16 is from the same place, rather than write the whole thing or Martin Luther, then you simply write down IBID. If it's the same page, you just leave it at IBID. If it's a different page, you go IBID and page, whatever page it is. The other alternative is offset, but I won't go into that right now. So I hope that the way of sourcing helps you. Please remember that you must source anything that you directly quote or that you paraphrase into your own words. You still have to give them credit for the idea, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not uncommon when I was doing essays, and my professors totally approved of this, of having 50, 60, 70 sources for a 12 to 15 page essay or 6 to 8 page essay. So all you're doing by sourcing is giving credit to the originator, the author, the creator of the idea. With copyright laws, you should be emailing them and writing them and asking them for permission to use their material. What you're doing by sourcing it is assuming permission. But the most important thing about sourcing is to give the person's idea credit. So give the person whose idea you are using credit for the idea. Are there any questions about the sourcing? I sent it to you on a Word document. The page 2 and 3 are PDF files, but this one here, so an easy way for you to save yourself some time if you haven't already done this is simply copy and paste the textbook source and Martin Luther King source. Ben asks, do you have a word count or page number requirements? Whatever it takes according to your style. So I have no minimum, no maximum. Each of you will have a different thing. Roadmap, again, to explain roadmap is after your thesis statement, it's good that you would I want you to add a roadmap. Essentially, this is how I'm going to argue. So if you're going to say, I'm going to discuss justice according to, you don't have to go into detail, justice according to Aristotle, Aquinas, Jesus, something like that, a brief description of where you're going to get the ideas from. I'm going to discuss and do it A, B, and then C. And those three parts of your roadmap are going to be your body. Okay, so write that down. The roadmap is a very brief description of the body. Some people would even make them as the headings of the 3 parts of your body. So something like that, but keep it very, very brief. It should only be 1 line, and with this is a semicolon after them. Let's see. Kevin, can the ideas we employ come from concepts that are not directly related to the idea, but the idea can be derived from the concept? Okay. Okay. Hold on, Ben. Kevin, explain further what you want. You have total control of the idea and how you use the idea and how you understand the idea. If it comes from someone or somewhere in your explanation, then we'll understand what you mean by it. I can resend the citation page. Is that okay, Michelle? I'll resend the citation page to everyone with my corrections. Okay, you're welcome. Kevin, can you explain your question? Okay. Let me try again. Can the ideas we employ come from concepts that are not directly related to the idea? But the idea can be derived from the concept. I think I understand what you mean. I think if my understanding is correct, I have no problems with that. It's how you understand the idea and how you interpret the idea. Maybe that's a better word. And therefore, you can use the idea any way you want. You have total freedom to do so. Does that help, Kevin? Okay, okay, Ben, humility means piety. The first definition from Socrates is piety. The understanding of the astonishment of the experience of the other in Levinus is piety. Humility and piety are a virtue that we find both in Aristotle and in the character charts and virtues that we talked about. We looked at virtues. Humility it also means from Jesus and the Gospel of Life and the Sermon on the Mount is putting others before yourself. Humility also means benevolence. Humility also means being respectful of others. Humility can also be a part of what we also call justice. Okay, so lots of examples of humility to be found in the course. Go through the PowerPoint presentations and start pulling ideas from those things. Okay. Let's see, do we must include the in-text citations for the essay? Zilan, in-text meaning from the letter? Say no problems, that's just technical difficulty. Whenever you can figure it out, no problem, say. Zilan, what do you mean by in-text citation? Are you actually quoting the document? Oh, in-text citations? Oh, the letter, yeah. If you look at my my sourcing, I gave you the way to source the Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter. So you would put a number after the quotation from the letter, and then at the bottom of the page or at the end of the page, you would tell me where you got it from. Oh, sorry, Jade. Sorry, Jade. I think you Sorry, Jade. My apology. Yeah, I thought it was Kevin, it was you, Jade. Okay. Jade, does that help you with your answer? Whatever idea from whoever you got it from, however you interpret it, understand it, is good with me. You'll have to explain your interpretation of that idea. So, for example, Emmanuel Levinas, the astonishment or the excitement of the experience of the other can be interpreted by me as a sign of humility. That's what I was trying to say earlier. It could be humility. So I see that as being humble, being pious, thinking about the other person more than myself. Okay. Okay, Jade. Any other questions, anyone? So I hope that helps. And please, you got to hate me for saying this, but try to have fun doing this. It's a good exercise. It's a great letter. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great personality. And I'll try to do a little PowerPoint presentation on Friday, give you more background information of what happened and what's going on at the time. I did have one and it got corrupted, and I've been trying to find it. I'm going to have to recreate it. But I'll do that for Friday. A comment I'm going to make about Martin Luther King Jr. is he died for this. He was assassinated because people didn't like his ideas and people didn't like his demand for equality. It's a sad kind of world we live in, that a person of peace dies for what they believe in. And he was following his conscience and was acting in a non-violent, non-aggressive way. He believed in peaceful resistance. And he learned this from two sources. One is he was a Baptist minister. So he was a Baptist Christian minister. He learned it from his faith and the teachings of Jesus and the Gospel of Matthew in particular, and the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount. He also went to India and went to Mumbai and studied what Mahatma Gandhi did and how he liberated India from the colonial rule of the British by not fighting back with any violence. Both of them were assassinated, Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. In our own faith, Jesus was, you can say, not assassinated, but he had to experience capital punishment. He was killed because he wanted peace and love for others. So in a morality course, they all did the right thing, suffered, but their ideas continue, and those who hurt them and killed them are simply, as we saw in The Insider, infamous and not important. Okay, so I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to present now Coach Carter. Okay, so when you received your package, there was a sheet on top of everything. And so this is what I want to play back now. This is from one of my favorite movies. This is a true story. It's called Coach Carter. And he's a coach who suspended his team because they weren't doing their schoolwork. And eventually the coach gets fired because he wouldn't let his team win. They were a team that lost miserably the year before. And he used to be at the school, and he came back to coach them and teach them also about self-respect. They kept asking one of his players, what is your greatest fear? And so let's see what we have here. Look at my I don't have. So what's happening here is the chains of the gym have been broken because the school board and the school decided to fire him and have the kids play. So he's going into the gym with 2 empty boxes to pick up his stuff and leave. And so when he goes into the gym, this is what happens. Sorry, I don't see. I can't put. I can't put subtitles, sorry, unless it's on.
So they can cut the chain off the door, but they can't make us play. We've decided we're gonna finish what you started, sir. Yeah, so leave us be, coach. We got shit to do, sir. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Sir, I just want to say thank you. You saved my life. Thank you, sir. All of it.
Okay. Now, for some reason, I think I may have included a YouTube with some extra things, so I hope there's nothing inappropriate there. I'm sorry, unless it's somebody just acting out the same thing, but that's basically what I want you to get. And you have it on the first sheet that was in your package. So what I'm going to ask you to do, try to hand it in by today. If you can't, and finish it off whenever you can. And we do have over half an hour left. Write a journal about anything that inspired you about the greatest fear. So pick any line or a couple lines, whatever you like, and write anything looking back. You hand in the journal, yeah, you can hand it in today or as soon as you can get it done. So today I have 2 things for you to send to me. One is your journal. This is journal number 23, so we have 2 more to go. And then we're finished. And we have a week and a half left of school. And tomorrow, as I told you, I will be absent. So tomorrow I will be giving you and assigning you a work period to work on either Avatar or your CPT or both. Remember, your CPT is due on Monday. I prefer everybody to type it and make sure your name's on it. Your Avatar is due on Friday, but if you need more time, you can hand it in up to next Wednesday. On Friday, we'll spend some time on doing one assignment in class and then spend some time on reviewing and brainstorming ideas for your CPT. say, yeah, whatever inspired you about that inspirational speech. It's the first thing I put on top of your packages when you open them up. So you have a copy of all the words. I just thought the Coach Carter version would have been also interesting for you. Ben, I don't want you to summarize the video clip because we have the whole speech that I think his name is Juan gave. I want you to write a journal about what you think, what line inspired you, what line encouraged you, what line gave you hope. It's a very interesting poem that Williamson wrote. A lot of people attribute this to Nelson Mandela, but I went through Nelson Mandela's speech and he never mentioned it. Yeah, our deepest fear, Michelle, perfect. Just put our deepest fear. What it's basically saying is, don't play small. Don't put yourself down for others. Be yourself. It's like Socrates said to the young people of Athens, know yourself. Let your goodness, let your light shine in everything you say and everything you do. Louisa, I'd like you to hand your chart today, but if you need more time, anytime you want. So I'll be back to class on Friday. So if you need more time, take as much time as you need. And that goes for everyone else. Two things that I want you to do is the chart and the journal.